I got hold of another very interesting older documentation, some sort of manual for a very old refrigerator. We have to think about these refrigerators as being advanced technology back in the early 70s. And this was entirely so because they were replacing previous products that had much poorer efficiency. Those are early 1970s compressor technology, so they are using quite advanced capabilities in order to cool your food products. So let's see what it's mentioned over here. There were also different sizes. You could have the small, more or less bar, or the small kitchen refrigerator, the typical one, and the larger one. The small one, I think it was had an internal capacity of around 90 liters. The medium-sized one had 180, and the larger one had 240 liters. This is quite interesting because today we have refrigerators of over 200 liters frequently, and some of them get in the area of 300. And of course, this includes the freezer and the refrigerator compartment. So let's look. Very interesting, but it was true. Thomson Houston technology was licensed in order to create these products. And it was of a highly advanced technology. It pertained mostly to the compressor that had to be built. And I have to say that the technology being used on these initial ones was very reliable. As far as I can tell, I think they were able to operate for more than 40 years in some cases with no maintenance, which is simply fantastic and something that you cannot quite expect with modern technology. Not that it would not be possible, but the fact that they aren't built this way. And 40 years was entirely possible with them. Of course, some of them failed quicker because they had issues with the electric motor winding or something else went wrong. But most of them were able to operate so many years with no hassle. The small one, 140 liters. It's interesting. I was expecting 90 liters, but it's 140. Probably it's a different range of sizes, and I think that the 90 liter one was previously used with ammonia, and this was the capacity that they were offering back then. Okay, so this is 140 liters. It's quite a spacious refrigerator. We have to think about power consumption. If you remember an older video I shown to you, it was presenting 4.8 kilowatts hour. And this one gets to 1 kilowatts in roughly the same conditions. I think it was 40 degrees Celsius ambient temperature, and over there you had around, over here you have 32, over there you had 30 degrees. I think that with this one, yes, this one. Unfortunately, there are no specifications over here, and I could not find them on the internet, but this was the capability. So 4.8 kilowatts at 30 degrees Celsius, and over here 1 kilowatt at 42 degrees Celsius. And I'm pretty sure that the cabinet or the space inside is much larger with this one, and the freezer compartment is actually huge compared with the other one that had space only for 2 ice cube trays. So 14.6 liters, and I think that that one is around 2 liters or even less. So yes, you have to think about the technology that was available back then. 142 watts compared with something that I estimate to be around 300 watts or even more, and you have to think that this one was not powered permanently, while the other one clearly so in order to reach the temperature. The temperature inside 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. The other one said only around 6 degrees, so this one is much more efficient, if I remember correctly, and I'm entirely so. Okay, this one says that the temperature is, just a moment, 6 degrees. 5 degrees, and I'm pretty sure that this is not the average temperature, so the temperature is much more constant and much less varied between the upper side and lower side, and the upper side particularly is much cooler. So yes, the performance is fantastic. In the insulation is foam, and this was the most important advance in refrigerator technology, because before, when they were using, I think, mineral wool or glass wool, the performance was not as consistent in time, or they were using other ways to insulate the internal side from the outer frame. So this one had a very good performance. We are going to larger sizes, and you notice that the first detail still stays the same compressor as supplied over here, which means that the performance is not going to be probably as high with these ones, but the economy and the ability to have the same power would probably be much more important. 180 liters, 0.8 kilowatts, 1.3, so it gets a bit higher from 1 kilowatts, but also you have an improvement of over 40 liters in terms of storage space, which is important. Minus 20 degrees Celsius, this is standard on all refrigerators of this technology. It was not possible to have a lower temperature inside, and this is one of the reasons why you see only 2 stars for the freezer. Modern ones can go even lower in temperature, probably around minus 20 degrees, and then they would have 3 stars. I don't know exactly, but I think that this one is the case. 50 kilos. It's actually quite heavy, mostly due to the compressor and the cabinet, but generally you can understand what happens over here. It's not much by today's standard. Okay, the same insulation, nothing more, and this one is even more spacious, but it has the same freezer size. Actually, you're going to notice that with the exception of these smaller models, the other ones have the same freezer size, 18.4 liters, and you just have more storage space for other items on the door, and you have more on the shelves. And the power consumption gets higher. You have 1.6 kilowatts every 24 hours at 42 degrees, and the compressor size, the compressor power is increased at 225 watts compared with 142. In general, I think that this one had the best performance, and you have to consider that with just about any refrigerator, the more storage space you have and the less used it is, the better the performance. The moment you're having a refrigerator that is going to be packed with as much as possible, the performance is going to get lower, because you would spend more time putting and taking out things out of the refrigerator, and then you could also waste more time until the compressor can extract the heat and reach the desired temperature. All of them have the same operation. They have a thermostat that is placed over here, a knob that you could set at a various position in order to reach a various temperature. Of course, nothing is being labeled. They are more like positions that cannot be determined other than through experience. So probably you would use a specific position in the winter because you will not require things to get as cold, and then you would use another position in the summer because you would require a lower temperature inside, and you would probably open and close the door quicker. You have a magnetic seal all around. It's a rubber seal that has a magnetic strip inside, and the door can be closed and opened just like on a modern refrigerator. So this is very convenient and was a major advance compared with refrigerators that were as old as this one, which would not have a great rubberized seal, and of course the handle and its mechanical parts were wearing off much quicker. Alright, the rest of the details are similar, and the weight of course is being increased by 10 kilos. Alright, there are various details about the construction. It's true that they used highly advanced technology. They used aluminum parts in some ways to reduce weight. So probably the inside, actually it's mentioned over there that the freezer inside is made of aluminum, and also the back coils that are used in order to release the heat from the freezing agent. And those are made of aluminum and are very reliable. The compressor are built for Freon 12. Freon 12 was an agent that was being used in those older refrigerators. Had very good performance, but unfortunately it wasn't that friendly to the environment. It's one of the reasons why we switched to so many different ones today, because they had potentially lower impact on the ozone layer. This one is Freon 12 or Air 12, which is an older one. The lower compartment temperature where the evaporator is placed establishes a temperature of around minus 12 degrees Celsius, which means a 2-star. So this is the reason why the refrigerators or the fridges do not get a 3 or a 4-star, as most do today. 3-star is entirely common. Alright, they have an internal light. It's placed over here, nothing spectacular, a 15 watts bulb. Mounting. You have to keep a level surface. You have to ensure certain other aspects. I'm not going to mention them. In case you are using a different power supply of 120 volts, you have to think that in Europe there were parts that had a different mains voltage in the early 50s, 60s, and then there was a switch to higher voltage. This happened in a couple of countries. Romania is one of them, as far as I can tell. Okay, how do we use the fridge? The parts. So evaporator, ice trays probably on the inside. Yes, dripping tray. This was an inside the construction detail that would ensure part of the water being released through normal condensation from the air that was taken out of the outside could be placed in here. This was actually more useful if you were using the semi-automatic de-icing capability, because then the refrigerator would stop. It would slowly de-ice, and the dripping water would get on this tray rather than get inside the additional compartment that was placed inside on the drawer. But many times people were not using anymore this tray, and they were de-icing it manually, which actually ensured quite a good performance. So the design was not necessarily used as expected. Then the meat box, I think that this one wasn't used as frequently for meat, although it could be used. The thermostat, as mentioned, and the shelves on the lower and the upper sizes. The vegetable part, the vegetable container. 11 and 12 for jars, okay, eggs, small bottles, and then the larger ones. You can also see an example of how you can store them. I think that this is horrible in many ways. It's way too packed, but some people used it as such. There are various suggestions on how to place the products in the right spots. Let me see if I can. Okay, I think that is better. So I'm just going to go slowly, just because I think it looks slightly better. It's difficult because I have to look, and then if I'm looking and reading, I am not particularly noticing other details. All right, temperature settings. I think this one is very important, and I will hopefully be able to show you. So there are positions that have different meanings. You can go from the first two positions that are actually the most economical ones, from 10 to 17 degrees ambient temperature, 3, 4, that are the typical one, 18 to 24 degrees temperature. The standard European condition, at least for some climate regions, is around 20 to 25 degrees. So those two situations are the most likely, 3, 4, 5, 7. Of course, just about any person that used a refrigerator had a preference for certain positions, and due to experience they were choosing a particular position. What is mentioned, of course, those temperatures achieved vary based on the ambient temperature. They are not set temperatures for the inside. So this means that you would have to fiddle with the knob quite frequently in order to achieve a particular temperature. This is very different from today, when you would set a particular temperature or set a particular let's say temperature range, and then your refrigerator would keep it that regardless of the air around the refrigerator and how hot or cool it gets, or almost not influence. And this is very different from the way you would use a refrigerator. It was much less intuitive, and you would have to know very well your device. But since you were working with it for tens of years, this was not entirely out of reason. In order to reach an adequate state of storage, you would have to get to 3 to 5 degrees Celsius on the middle, and the freezer temperature -10 to -12. You have to think about these aspects. Back then in the 70s, or even later, many persons did not have a thermometer even for general, let's say, housing duties. So most of it was done by ear or by experience. You have to think about the difference when today you can buy a temperature you can buy a thermometer and probably you would have to use it for different purposes, but back then it was uncommon, so those values were mostly let's say not taken into account. There is also this slider that controls an opening between the freezer compartment and the lower side. In practice, did not have, I think, a very good effect, because if you were making the air transfer much quicker, it would reduce the temperature in the freezer, and it would also promote icing on the freezer. And sometimes people wanted to have at least 2 to 3 weeks of hassle-free operation, and if they had too much air circulation, this would mean that probably in around 1 week, 1.5 weeks at most, in the summer you would have to again de-ice the refrigerator. So many persons did not use this feature as well. If you want to know, there is a control that happens between, let me see, yes, it's on this side. You have to think that there is a small opening that is being closed and open on this side, so it's not much, but it may have an effect. This was what they were mentioning over here with this slider. Okay, creating ice cubes. De-icing. When the thickness of the ice the ice layer gets to 8 to 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter, you will start the de-icing. This was mostly done as persons had the necessary amount of time to do this. You have to understand the fact that, of course, as ice forms, the performance of the refrigerator and the refrigeration gets lower and lower. But you also have to consider the fact that you would have to spend time taking most of the food out of the refrigerator and then cleaning the cabinet inside, and leaving a lot of time in order to make all the ice go away, and sometimes even scraping, but scraping with care, because you could damage the internal parts if you would use a knife or something else that could leave traces and could affect the metal. Manual defreezing, which was entirely so the most common situation, you would spend probably half a day in cleaning and de-icing, which meant that you would have to set aside this amount of time. Or you could use the semi-automatic de-icing, which I think is not that great for a couple of reasons, because you would have to use it much more frequently, and you would have again to take care when you de-ice, because if there is too much ice, and you have to remember that there was an ice tray, a condensation tray over here, you would have to be very careful when taking it in and out of the refrigerator to avoid spills. And you would have to initiate semi-automatic de-icing much sooner than you would use classic de-icing. So probably in around 1 week, you should probably start to use the de-icing, which was even quicker than the 2 or 3 weeks you could leave for manual de-icing. So this was why most persons choose not to use the semi-automatic de-icing, because it wasn't that effective and you would have other problems. Cleaning, yes, it was needed, obviously. Internal, external cleaning, storing the refrigerator, and of course servicing. And this is where you would find. So it's very interesting. I think that such refrigerators were highly successful, and they were one of the many conveniences we had living in the early 70s up to 90s. And up until recently, there were very few differences in refrigerators, up I think the early 90s. Only in the late 2000s, some fancy refrigerators with higher capacities and much improved functions, especially automatic de-icing, made the case for replacing a refrigerator important, because consumption wasn't that much different. But the convenience of having self de-icing is fantastic, and one of the things we enjoy so much today. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This was again going into the past and seeing how things are today, and they are very different. Of course, we have more efficiency, we have more control over things, and they are much more readily obvious in the way in which we operate. We just set the temperature and then we get it, no matter what happens, or we get it very closely. This is incredible compared with early 70s to early 90s technology. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching.